one, Blue Grotto. Longest cave, 60 meters long.
Good morning. I am on the incredible island of Malta, and today I'm visiting the Blue Grotto and hopefully ending up somewhere around the Dingli Cliffs area, the highest point in Malta, so I'm told. Right now though, I'm just on a cliff overlooking the Blue Grotto itself, and I'm hoping to head down and pick up a boat tour. You can see the boats just behind me there. They are going in and out every 5 minutes. So I'm pretty sure there's plenty of capacity for me. Gonna head down there now, see if I can get a ticket. Another boat heading towards the Blue Grotto there from the harbour, maybe 3 or 4 minutes along the coastline. And I'm just mesmerised, fascinated by these colours of this ocean, of this sea, apparently caused by the sun reflecting off of the sand at the bottom of the sea here. Brings these incredible cyan blues and greens and azure colours. Just fascinating. I'll just, before I head down there, give you a quick story as to how this area came to be. So it used to be used by fishermen in the 1950s and before. They used to go out fishing in these seas, and what happened was British military personnel, soldiers, used to turn up every now and again and ask for boat rides because the area is such a picturesque scene. During the 1950s it became even more popular because the fishermen would take them up to the caves. One of the British soldiers, I believe, said that he had seen something like this in Italy called the Blue Grotto, and that's where this Blue Grotto gets its name from, the Blue Grotto in Italy. Anyway, over the 1950s and 1960s, this just exploded in tourism and popularity. So by 1958, there was so many people coming down here that they needed some way of making sure that the boats were safe and that the people taking the tourists out were responsible. So they put a licensing scheme in place. In 1962, there were 12 licenses issued for so-called fishing boats to take tourists around to the Blue Grotto. By 1964, 59 licenses had been issued, so that just shows you how much tourism exploded in just those 2 years. Some divers there. Got a feeling they're going to jump in, make their way across the bay here, and there are a load of other divers out there. They are swimming presumably to the El Faraud dive site, which is a shipwreck underneath where they are pretty much, maybe a little further out. The shipwreck is actually from a ship that had an explosion on board in 1995 in the Grand Harbour of Valletta. They brought it round here and 3 years later scuttled it, turned it into a dive site. 9 people did die in the explosion, and it was a pretty sizable ship. I believe it was about 120 meters long by 20 meters high, and now it's one of the most famous dive sites apparently in the Mediterranean. It's prepared for diving specifically, so the ship has had all of its doors and windows removed, made as safe as possible. I believe they're just about to head down in this warm Mediterranean Sea, about 35 meters, 120 feet down I believe, as yet another boat of tourists heads towards the Blue Grotto. Just down there is the ticket office. €8 for adults, €4 for children. stepped off of the boat. It is definitely amazing to see the Blue Grotto. The colours are just incredible inside the caves, but the entire thing for €8 lasts about 20 minutes, and there is a real sort of rush feeling. As soon as you get into one of the grottos or caves, you're kind of rushed out. You don't get much time to take any pictures. They don't tell you that much about it either. And then when they come back along the coastline, it is a bit like a race trying to beat other boats back into the harbour. So a bit of a shame. They could make a better go of it, I think, if they paced it out a little bit more, maybe gave you a little bit more time inside the grottos themselves. When I arrived here first thing, it was really quiet. It's getting pretty busy now. It's coming up for lunchtime, so I'm going to grab some lunch and then, as I said, head off to the Dingli Cliffs, the highest point in Malta, to hopefully catch a spectacular sunset. I have arrived at my final destination of the day, a place called the Dingli Cliffs, which is the highest point on the Maltese archipelago, and also a great place to see the sun setting, from what I've been told. So that's the main reason I'm here. The sun's going to be setting in about 30 minutes. I'm making my way there now, and hopefully the sky will be clear and I'll be able to see the sun drop below the horizon. Always good when that happens. In the meantime, I think I'm starting to approach the cliffs. Look at this. Oh my goodness, what a drop. That is incredible. And then out there is the Mediterranean Sea and the sun low in the sky now. I think I'm heading over towards there, a panoramic viewpoint. An incredible sunset to finish off an incredible day here in Malta. The area that I'm in, the Dingli Cliffs, are around about 280 meters. So that is what, about 800 feet from sea level. The highest point, as I said before, in the whole of Malta. And if you walk up the rocky coastline, maybe about 10 minutes, you will find a chapel that actually marks the point where the highest point in Malta actually is. But I'm not going to go that way. Instead, I'm going to just climb to the top of this panoramic viewpoint, and I'll show you one last thing. I wanted to see it myself anyway, and that is a tiny little island out at sea, just about over on my left. It's about, I think, 5 kilometers, 3 miles out to sea, and it's a really tiny island called Filfla. That is the island, 5 kilometers, 3 miles, as I say, out. It was used by the British military when they ruled here around about the time of the Second World War as target practice. They aimed bombs at it, and if you go over to the island now, you can still find shrapnel from those bombs on the island itself. It's actually an exclusion zone around it of 1 mile no fishing allowed. You're not allowed to actually go to the island because it's a registered nature reserve these days, and that is also for safety because there could be some unexploded mines still on the island. Incredible place. So, another day to the good. What an incredible place to finish the video. Looking out from the Dingli Cliffs, sun has set and the day is pretty much done. Incredible, incredible country. Loads more coming from Malta. Tomorrow I am visiting a really old town, I think a former capital, Mdina and Rabat. In the meantime, I'm going to head back up towards the car. I think it's up there somewhere. Good night from Malta.